every illness begins with pain. Not every imbalance announces itself loudly. Sometimes, the first sign is subtle. A persistent fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, a slight, unexplained weight change, a reduced appetite, mild dizziness, a lab report with numbers that are only slightly outside the normal range. Not alarming, not dramatic, but not entirely normal. In internal medicine, these quiet variations matter because patterns form before crises develop, and early interpretation prevents late complications. Medicine is not always about emergencies. Often it is about observation, comparison, trend analysis, and disciplined reasoning. A physician does not react to isolated symptoms. A physician evaluates systems.
Welcome back to Fluent Ears. I'm Rianne.
And I'm Emma.
Today's episode is part of our Medical English playlist and our real-life clinical conversation series.
In this consultation, you'll step inside a structured internal medicine evaluation focused on fatigue, metabolic imbalance, and abnormal laboratory findings.
You'll hear professional English used during systemic questioning, risk assessment, and differential diagnosis.
Notice how the doctor organizes information. Notice how uncertainty is handled without creating fear.
Internal medicine requires precision, measured tone, clear phrasing, and structured logic.
You'll hear how subtle symptoms are explored carefully, without exaggeration, without dismissal.
This episode is not fast-paced emergency dialogue. It is analytical conversation. The kind where interpretation matters more than reaction. The kind where clinical judgment is built step by step. Before we begin, let's quickly revisit the Fluent Ears fluency method.
First, listen to the full episode with subtitles. Do not pause. Absorb the clinical rhythm. Observe how questions are structured.
Second, replay the episode. Pause after each dialogue. Repeat aloud. Focus on clarity. Focus on controlled delivery.
Train your articulation. Train your confidence.
Third, pay attention to structure. Notice how the doctor narrows possibilities. Notice how reassurance sounds measured, not emotional.
And finally, write down the advanced vocabulary highlighted in yellow. Do not memorize mechanically. Understand how each phrase functions in context.
Repetition transforms exposure into retention.
Professional English is not about sounding complicated. It is about sounding clear, precise, and confident under uncertainty.
For consistent progress, solve the 2 MCQs posted daily in the community section.
Practice consistently, except Sunday.
If you'd like us to continue producing high-quality episodes like this, you can support Fluent Ears.
You can support the channel through Super Thanks on YouTube or via PayPal. paypal.me/fluentears.
Your support helps us keep creating structured learning content like this. Discipline builds fluency.
Fluency builds credibility.
Now, let's enter today's consultation, where symptoms are subtle, indicators are quiet, and clarity must be constructed carefully.
This is Doctor-Patient English, Internal Medicine Conversations.
The consultation room felt structured. Neutral walls, soft lighting, measured silence. Emma sat upright, hands resting loosely in her lap. She did not appear acutely ill, but her posture carried subtle fatigue. Dr. Miller entered calmly.
Good morning, Emma.
Good morning, doctor.
What brings you in today?
Emma inhaled slowly.
I've been feeling unusually tired for the past month.
Unusual in what way?
It's constant. I wake up exhausted, even after sleeping 7 or 8 hours.
So the fatigue doesn't improve with rest?
No.
Dr. Miller nodded thoughtfully.
Any recent infections?
No.
Fever, chills, Night sweats?
No.
Unintentional weight changes?
Emma hesitated briefly.
I've lost about 4 kilograms.
Over what period?
5 or 6 weeks?
Were you dieting or exercising more?
No, that's why it surprised me.
Dr. Miller leaned back slightly.
Any changes in appetite?
Maybe slightly reduced?
Heart palpitations?
Yes, occasionally.
At rest or only with activity?
Sometimes even when I'm resting.
Dr. Miller observed her carefully.
Any tremors in your hands?
Emma looked at her fingers.
I've noticed slight shaking when I hold small objects.
Increased irritability or anxiety?
Emma gave a faint smile.
I've felt more restless than usual.
Fatigue, weight loss, palpitations, restlessness. Individually mild, together meaningful.
Did you bring any laboratory results?
Emma handed him a printed report. He reviewed it carefully. His expression remained composed.
When were these tests performed?
3 days ago.
I see your thyroid-stimulating hormone level is slightly suppressed.
Emma frowned gently.
I don't really understand what that means.
Dr. Miller closed the file calmly.
That's fine. We'll analyze it step by step.
The symptoms were quiet, but quiet does not mean insignificant, and interpretation begins with structure. Internal medicine does not stop at symptoms. It expands. Dr. Miller leaned slightly forward.
Emma, I'd like to understand how these changes have affected your daily life.
Emma nodded.
Before this fatigue began, how would you describe your personality?
Emma thought briefly.
I've always been quite gregarious.
Dr. Miller raised his eyes slightly.
Gregarious, meaning socially active, energetic around people?
Yes, I enjoy conversations. Meetings never exhausted me before.
And now?
Now I avoid social situations. Even small gatherings feel draining.
That shift is clinically relevant.
He continued typing calmly.
When the palpitations occur, how do they begin?
Suddenly, my heart starts racing in the blink of an eye.
Dr. Miller nodded.
That phrase is accurate. It means something happens almost instantly.
That's exactly how it feels. No warning.
How long do these episodes last?
Usually a few minutes.
Do they resolve spontaneously?
Yes.
Do you feel short of breath during those episodes?
Slightly.
Any chest pain?
No.
The symptoms were subtle but consistent. Dr. Miller continued.
Have you noticed increased sensitivity to heat?
Yes, I feel warmer than others in the same room.
Excessive sweating?
More than usual.
Any tremors?
Very mild shaking in my hands.
Dr. Miller observed carefully.
Have you experienced difficulty sleeping?
Yes, even when I'm tired, my mind feels active.
Racing thoughts?
Sometimes.
Dr. Miller paused thoughtfully.
Have you felt unusually anxious?
Emma hesitated.
Yes, but I can't tell if it's anxiety causing the symptoms or the symptoms causing anxiety.
Dr. Miller gave a small, approving nod.
That distinction is important.
Fatigue, weight loss, palpitations, heat intolerance, restlessness. Patterns do not shout, they align.
Emma, based on what you've described, We need to evaluate your thyroid function more thoroughly.
Is it serious?
Dr. Miller remained composed.
It may simply be a hormonal imbalance, but we confirm before concluding.
In internal medicine, speed is rarely the solution. Clarity is, and clarity takes structure. Symptoms guide direction, but risk assessment provides proportion. Dr. Miller adjusted his glasses slightly.
Emma, I'd like to perform a broader system review. This helps us rule out other causes.
Emma nodded.
Any history of thyroid disease in your family?
My mother had some thyroid issue years ago. I'm not sure what type.
Do you recall if she required medication long-term?
Yes, she did.
Dr. Miller made a note.
Family history increases probability, but it does not confirm diagnosis.
He continued calmly.
Any history of autoimmune conditions?
No.
Have you experienced hair thinning?
Emma touched her hair lightly.
Maybe slightly.
Any changes in menstrual cycle?
It's been slightly irregular.
Dr. Miller nodded.
That information is important.
Endocrine disorders rarely affect one system alone. They influence multiple processes simultaneously.
Any muscle weakness?
I feel weaker climbing stairs.
Any swelling in the neck?
No.
Any difficulty swallowing?
No.
Dr. Miller leaned back slightly.
Emma, based on your symptoms and the suppressed TSH level, hyperthyroidism is a possibility.
Emma's eyes widened slightly.
So something is seriously wrong?
Dr. Miller raised a hand gently.
Hold your horses.
Emma blinked.
That phrase means slow down. Don't rush to a dramatic conclusion.
Emma exhaled slowly.
We have an indicator, not a confirmed diagnosis.
So we're not certain yet?
Correct. A single lab value does not define the entire clinical picture.
This was not dismissal. It was measured reasoning.
We need additional tests, free T3 and free T4 levels.
What do those measure?
They measure active thyroid hormones in your bloodstream.
And if they're elevated?
That would support hyperthyroidism.
Emma swallowed quietly.
Is that dangerous?
If untreated for a prolonged period, it can affect the heart and bones.
He paused deliberately.
But your symptoms are currently mild. You are clinically stable.
Proportion, not panic.
We are identifying the issue early.
Emma nodded slowly.
So this is manageable?
In most cases, yes. Very manageable.
Internal medicine does not eliminate uncertainty instantly. It narrows it. One question at a time. One system at a time. History builds suspicion. Examination builds evidence. Dr. Miller stood.
Let's proceed with a physical examination.
Emma nodded and adjusted her posture. Dr. Miller wrapped the blood pressure cuff around her arm.
Relax your arm.
The cuff inflated. Dr. Miller glanced at the monitor.
Blood pressure slightly elevated. Nothing critical.
He checked her pulse manually.
Your heart rate is mildly increased.
Even at rest?
Yes, it's faster than average.
He placed the stethoscope against her chest.
Take a deep breath.
Emma inhaled.
And exhale.
He listened carefully.
Heart rhythm is regular. No murmurs.
He stepped back.
I'm going to examine your hands.
Emma extended them forward. A faint tremor was visible.
Hold them steady.
The tremor persisted slightly.
That tremor is subtle but present.
Emma watched her hands.
I thought I was imagining it.
No, it's mild but observable.
He then examined her neck gently.
Swallow.
Emma swallowed. Dr. Miller palpated carefully.
There is slight enlargement of the thyroid gland.
Emma stiffened slightly.
That sounds serious.
Miller spoke calmly.
Let's avoid hackneyed interpretations.
Emma looked uncertain.
Hackneyed?
It means overused, predictable explanations. The kind you read repeatedly online, where every symptom automatically equals a worst-case scenario.
Emma nodded slowly.
So I shouldn't assume the worst.
Exactly. Physical findings must be interpreted within context.
Mild tachycardia, subtle tremor, slight thyroid enlargement. Nothing dramatic, but consistent.
Your reflexes are slightly brisk.
What does that indicate?
It can be associated with increased metabolic activity.
He removed the stethoscope.
The physical findings correlate with your symptoms and lab results.
So it's becoming clearer.
Yes, but clarity requires confirmation.
Examination does not create conclusions. It strengthens probability, and probability guides investigation. Data confirms direction, but interpretation defines meaning. Dr. Miller reviewed the additional laboratory results displayed on his screen. Emma watched his expression carefully.
Your free T3 and free T4 levels are elevated.
Emma remained quiet.
This confirms hyperthyroidism.
Emma inhaled slowly.
So my thyroid is overactive?
Yes, your thyroid gland is producing excessive hormones.
And that explains everything?
It explains most of your symptoms.
He turned the screen slightly toward her.
Thyroid hormones regulate metabolism, your body's energy usage.
So too much hormone means my system is running too fast?
Exactly. Your heart rate increases, your body burns calories faster. You may feel restless.
Emma nodded slowly.
And the weight loss?
Accelerated metabolism.
The tremor?
Increased sympathetic stimulation.
He continued calmly.
Thyroid hormones can galvanize the nervous system.
Emma tilted her head.
Galvanize?
It means to stimulate or activate suddenly and strongly.
So my nervous system is overstimulated?
Yes, excess hormone essentially pushes your body into a hyperactive state.
Fatigue in hyperthyroidism seems paradoxical, but constant overstimulation exhausts the system.
Despite feeling restless, your body is under strain.
Is this dangerous?
Untreated for a long time, it can affect the heart rhythm and bone density.
Emma swallowed carefully.
But right now?
Your condition appears mild to moderate. We've identified it early.
Timing changes outcomes.
There are several possible causes of hyperthyroidism. Graves' disease is common. It's an autoimmune condition.
Autoimmune?
Your immune system mistakenly stimulates the thyroid gland.
That sounds complicated.
It is manageable.
He continued.
Other causes include thyroid nodules or transient inflammation.
How do we know which one I have?
We'll perform antibody testing and possibly a thyroid ultrasound.
Emma exhaled slowly.
So this isn't solved yet.
We have a diagnosis. Now we refine the cause.
Internal medicine moves in layers. First, identify the imbalance. Second, identify the source.
Your heart rate elevation and tremor are consistent with hormonal excess.
Is that why I feel anxious?
Yes, elevated thyroid hormones can mimic anxiety.
So I wasn't imagining it.
No, your symptoms have a physiological basis.
Validation reduces fear.
The good news is that hyperthyroidism is treatable.
With medication?
Yes, antithyroid drugs can reduce hormone production.
Emma nodded, processing carefully.
The key is consistent monitoring.
The numbers now had meaning, and meaning reduces uncertainty. Diagnosis is rarely a single step. It is comparison, elimination, probability. Dr. Miller sat back slightly, fingers interlaced.
Emma, although your lab results confirm hyperthyroidism, we still consider alternative explanations.
Emma nodded attentively.
For example, anxiety disorders can also cause palpitations and restlessness.
I wondered about that.
Anemia can cause fatigue and tachycardia.
My hemoglobin was normal, right?
Yes, your blood count is within normal range.
He continued calmly.
Certain medications can elevate heart rate.
I'm not taking any.
Correct.
Each possibility was considered, then weighed.
Emma, it's important not to fall head over heels into one explanation.
Emma gave a faint smile.
Head over heels. Like falling in love?
Dr. Miller allowed a subtle nod.
Yes. It usually describes being completely overwhelmed or deeply involved in something.
So you mean not to become completely convinced too quickly?
Exactly. In medicine, we avoid emotional attachment to a diagnosis.
Objectivity protects accuracy.
Your clinical picture strongly supports hyperthyroidism.
But we still confirm the underlying cause.
Yes, that's the difference between labeling and understanding.
Emma leaned forward slightly.
So you don't just treat the numbers.
Correct. We treat the patient.
Fatigue, weight loss, palpitations, tremor, suppressed TSH, elevated T3 and T4. The alignment was strong.
If antibody tests confirm Graves' disease, treatment may extend longer.
And if not?
It may be transient thyroiditis,
Is that better?
usually temporary.
He paused briefly.
The key principle in internal medicine is proportional reasoning.
What does that mean?
We respond to evidence, not fear.
Fear accelerates conclusions. Evidence refines them.
At this stage, hyperthyroidism is the most probable explanation.
Emma nodded slowly.
And the next step?
We initiate treatment while awaiting antibody confirmation.
Not rushed, not reactive, structured. Diagnosis guides treatment, but treatment requires balance. Dr. Miller turned slightly toward Emma.
We'll begin with an antithyroid medication.
Emma listened carefully.
This medication reduces hormone production in your thyroid gland.
How long will I need to take it?
Initially, several months. We'll monitor your levels regularly.
So this isn't permanent?
In many cases, thyroid function stabilizes.
He continued calmly.
We'll also prescribe a beta blocker temporarily.
What does that do?
It slows your heart rate and reduces tremors.
Emma nodded.
It will help control symptoms while the primary medication takes effect.
Symptom control first, hormonal correction second.
I'd also recommend reducing caffeine.
Emma smiled faintly.
That might be difficult.
Excess caffeine can further galvanize your nervous system.
Emma gave a small nod.
So it overstimulates what's already overstimulated.
Exactly.
He continued.
Prioritize sleep, regular meals, moderate physical activity.
Should I avoid exercise?
Avoid intense exertion until your heart rate stabilizes.
Emma exhaled slowly.
This feels manageable.
It is. Hyperthyroidism sounds dramatic, but most cases respond well to treatment.
I think I let myself become head over heels in fear earlier.
Dr. Miller allowed a small, approving smile.
That's common. But now you have structured information.
Structure restores control.
We'll recheck your labs in 4 weeks.
And if things improve?
We continue monitoring and adjust dosage.
Emma sat straighter.
So this won't change in the blink of an eye.
No. Hormonal correction takes time.
Treatment in internal medicine is rarely instant. It is gradual, measured, and precise. Four weeks later, the same room, but a different posture. Emma sat with noticeably steadier hands. Dr. Miller reviewed the updated lab report.
Your T3 and T4 levels are decreasing.
Emma exhaled gently.
That's good?
Yes. Your thyroid activity is moving toward normal range.
I feel better. The palpitations are less frequent.
And the fatigue?
Improving. I'm sleeping more consistently.
Dr. Miller nodded.
Your heart rate is also closer to baseline.
Numbers shifting, symptoms softening, structure producing results.
I almost convinced myself something catastrophic was happening.
That reaction is human.
I went from calm to terrified in the blink of an eye.
Fear often moves faster than physiology.
Emma smiled faintly.
I'm usually gregarious and confident. It surprised me how quickly anxiety took over.
When the body changes unexpectedly, even confident individuals feel uncertain.
I'm glad you told me to hold my horses.
Dr. Miller allowed a subtle smile.
Measured thinking prevents unnecessary panic.
I also stopped reading those hackneyed online articles.
Repetitive worst-case explanations rarely provide balance.
Improvement does not always feel dramatic, but stability is powerful.
We'll continue monitoring every 6 weeks.
Emma nodded calmly.
I feel more in control now.
The hormones were stabilizing, but more importantly, so was perspective. In this episode, you observed a complete internal medicine consultation. Not dramatic, not urgent, but clinically significant. A case where subtle symptoms formed a meaningful pattern.
At first, my symptoms felt mild, just fatigue and restlessness.
But when you add unintentional weight loss, palpitations, and heat intolerance, the picture changes.
Exactly. Individually small, collectively important.
Dr. Miller followed a structured approach. First, detailed history taking. Second, system review and risk assessment.
Then came the physical examination, and finally, laboratory interpretation.
A suppressed TSH level, elevated free T3 and T4, mild tremor, slight thyroid enlargement.
The diagnosis? Hyperthyroidism.
But what impressed me most was his composure.
Yes, he told me to hold your horses, to slow down before assuming the worst.
He avoided hackneyed explanations. No unnecessary drama.
He prevented me from falling head over heels into fear.
And he explained how excess thyroid hormone can galvanize the nervous system, overstimulating it.
He also reminded me that symptoms may appear in the blink of an eye, yet still require calm evaluation.
That's professional English in context.
Measured, precise, proportional.
Internal medicine is not about reacting,
It is about interpreting
identifying patterns before they escalate.
and replacing uncertainty with structured clarity.
You've just observed a complete internal medicine consultation. From subtle symptoms to structured evaluation to laboratory confirmation to treatment planning. No exaggeration, no dramatic shortcuts, just disciplined clinical reasoning.
This episode is part of our Medical English playlist and our real-life clinical conversation series.
Each episode is designed to expose you to real professional dialogue, the kind used in actual consultations.
Today, you heard how fatigue, weight loss, and palpitations were evaluated step by step.
You noticed how the doctor avoided assumptions, how he interpreted data proportionally, how reassurance sounded calm, not emotional.
Before you move on, revisit the Fluent Ears Fluency Method.
First, listen to the full episode again with subtitles. Do not pause. Absorb the clinical rhythm.
Second, replay the episode. Pause after each dialogue. Repeat aloud. Train your articulation. Train your confidence.
Third, focus on structure. Notice how differential diagnosis is narrowed. Notice how professional tone is maintained.
And finally, write down the advanced vocabulary highlighted in yellow. Understand it in context, not in isolation.
Repetition transforms exposure into retention.
If this episode helped you improve your medical English,
Like the video,
share it with someone preparing for clinical practice.
and subscribe to Fluent Ears for structured, real-world English training.
If you enjoyed this episode and want more professional English conversations like this in the future,
You can support Fluent Ears through YouTube Super Thanks or via PayPal. paypal.me/fluentears.
your support helps us continue producing high-quality educational content. Also, check the community section and solve today's 2 MCQs.
Practice daily, except Sunday.
Discipline builds fluency.
This was episode 20, Doctor-Patient English, Internal Medicine Conversations, where English is not memorized, it is applied professionally.